everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about Sunderland's home clash with Aston Villa, and please let me know in the comments what you think the score will be this weekend. But in this video we're going to talk about how Sunderland can beat Aston Villa and pick up another home win that would put them on 10 points for the Premier League season. So let's just dive straight into it, and if you enjoy this video please leave a like and also please subscribe to the channel. So let's talk about Aston Villa, because to win we have to beat them, of course, and we have to know what their strengths are and what their weaknesses are. And Villa have got off to a pretty rotten start to the Premier League season. They are 4 games without a win. They've picked up 2 draws, but most importantly, they haven't scored a goal yet in the Premier League. And the question really on my lips when I look at that, and when I see Villa on Match of the Day and whatnot, is are they unlucky? Have they been peppering the opposition goal and just not able to score? Or is there some bigger underlying issues? And the data would suggest that Villa are struggling when it comes to expected goals for and expected goals against, which is clearly not a happy marriage. You don't want your expected goals for being in the relegation zone. In fact, Villa have the second worst expected goals for, and they also have the second highest expected goals against. So they are 2 stats that don't make for pretty reading. Obviously, it's a small sample size, but it also isn't like Villa have played the best teams in the Premier League. So far, they've played Newcastle, they've played Everton, they've played Crystal Palace, and they've played Brentford. Obviously not in that order. They played 4 teams, though, that I think Villa fans at the start of the season would have said, okay, we can probably pick up quite a lot of points there. So what does all that mean? Well, for us, and let's just compare our expected goals for and expected goals against. So our expected goals for is 3.4. Villa's is 3.1. So we aren't much better there, but it's the defence that we are excelling. Villa have got an expected goals against of 7.4 and ours is 4.5. So there we can see there is quite a sizable difference after only 4 games of the season. Our defence actually ranks as one of the best ones in the Premier League. I think we've got the 7th best defence when it comes to expected goals against, which is obviously a really big positive for us. And what other things can we learn from the stats? Well, Villa are 5th for possession, and this season they've really struggled when playing against low blocks. In fact, both of their defeats this season have come against Crystal Palace and Brentford, teams who employ a low block. And dare I say, Sunderland are going to likely be one of the teams that plays a low block against them as well. So is that Aston Villa's kryptonite? Are we going to go there and go, do you know what, we've built a team perfect to compete against the low block? That's going to be really, really interesting to see. And against Brentford and Palace, Villa dominated the ball, were absolutely dominant with it, but did very little when they had it. And the teams they were playing, Palace and Brentford, really hurt them at the times that they had the ball. And I think Regis Labrie will look at that and go, do you know what, we don't need more than 25, 30, 35% of the ball. We certainly don't need anything north of 40% of the ball. We want Villa to have the ball. We want to control the game without having it. Think how we played against Middlesbrough last season at home, where we just let Michael Carrick's Middlesbrough have the ball and they passed it round the middle of the park and got nowhere. And then when we broke and we won the ball, boom, we hit them on counter-attacks, and we really, really hurt them in that way. And I think that'll be the game plan that Sunderland have this weekend, and we are built to play this sort of game. This recruitment that we have done has been all about transition and quickness and nicking the ball. Look at that midfield 3. It screams organisation. The defence, organisation. We are going to sit in, frustrate the living daylights out of Aston Villa this weekend and not let them get anywhere, and then use our pace to get up the field quickly and create chances and wreak havoc. And this is really the first time since the opening day against West Ham where we are coming up against a team that doesn't mind having more of the ball. And I think it'll be really fascinating to see whether or not, the blueprint of how actually we want to play works this weekend. And this is the first time since the opening day that we're going to be able to employ that sort of tactic. And I think even more interesting is that Villa are more dominant on the ball than West Ham. So it's going to be fascinating to see how Villa counteract that, because Villa will know that Sunderland want to sit in deep. Villa will know Sunderland want to sit in a low block and counter-attack them. Therefore, they may have a plan, and they may look at their games against Brentford and Palace this season and go, do you know what? We're not going to do that as much. Maybe we will have let Sunderland have a little bit more of the ball. So that's going to be an interesting tactical battle between the two managers. And if we look at Villa, they played midweek against Brentford. They made a lot of changes, and I think that, they didn't play particularly well. Judging by a lot of the reaction I've seen from their fans online, it was much of a muchness of their previous games. The feeling is that they got slightly better against Everton last weekend, only had one shot on target in the game, but was a slight improvement from the Palace game, and then potentially it was a slight improvement against Brentford. So it's possible that Villa are warming up a little bit, starting to improve ever so slightly. But what I would say is obviously it's going to be a different ball game coming to the stadium, like compared to a Carabao Cup game, which they still eventually got knocked out of on penalties. So I think while it's all well and good that Sunderland have this game plan, it can be a flawed game plan. Conceding possession to very, very good football teams does not necessarily always work well. And by giving Villa potentially 60 to 70% of the ball in this game, it gives their better players more of an opportunity to create, score sort of goals of individual brilliance and all that, sort of stuff. Because Sunderland, while it feels like it's better for us to not have the ball to hit teams on the counter, giving the ball away means that obviously the opposition have a chance to create more. And that is the one thing that I'm wary of this weekend. Villa have got a lot of quality players, and it only takes a player like a John McGinn, or even like a Ollie Watkins, an Emi Buendia, a Jadon Sancho, or Harvey Elliott, all the quality players they have, a Lucas Digne at left back. It only takes them one moment to create something excellent. And the more you give them the ball, the more likely that is to happen. So that's the caution I would have here. While I am all for this low block, not having the ball much, trying to hit teams on the counter attack, it has to be hit with the caveat almost that, Villa having a lot of the ball could mean that they've got a better chance of scoring goals in this game. And look, they are built to play that way. They want to have lots of the ball. So therefore, playing it in their hands, that could be exactly what Unai Emery wants. But from the evidence we've seen this season, Villa have really struggled against teams with the low block, which is exactly what I'd expect Sunderland to do. So what is the Sunderland 11 this weekend? And look, I think the team pretty much picked itself from, goalkeeper, there's not going to be a change in there. Defence, you think the back four would stay the same from last weekend. The midfield three is going to stay exactly the same. The forward line is the one area, I think, where maybe changes could happen. We've got Talby on the right-hand side, who I think will probably start, but Traore obviously used to play for Aston Villa, and there could be maybe a thought if he's had a good week in training, do we stick him in there? And then on the left side, Lefay, I don't think will make this game, so therefore is it Adingra that comes in and stays in there? Sorry, probably yes. And then in the middle, this is the one position where there's a lot of uncertainty, because I would probably say that all three have the same chance of starting this game. I wouldn't be surprised to see any of them play. I feel like he's going to go with Brian Brobbey, and I think the reason for that is that I expect Sunderland to use Mayenda and Isidore as finishers, and I think that if we were losing this game with 25 minutes to go, half an hour to go, that Reggie Slibbery will probably bring on Isidore and Mayenda to get them playing together. We know that they do really, really well together. So that's why I think he might go with Brobbey in this game. Brobbey to almost wear down that back four, and try and create himself some chances. And then if we need them, we've got Isidore and Mayenda to come on. So that's what I think will happen this weekend in terms of the squad. And let's finish off with a nice prediction. So I've got two sort of schools of thought here. Number one, I'm confident in the sense that we will have worked all week on a system that will nullify Villa's strengths. And I have all the faith in the world that the team will be coached and well prepared for this game. We'll sit in a defensive low block and frustrate Villa and hit them on counter-attacks. That will be the game plan. It seems obvious before the game that that's how it will play out. But I'm also worried that Villa are obviously due a result. They're a very good football team. They are 4 games without a win, 4 games without a goal. Surely they can't go 5 games, certainly without a goal. Surely they've got to score at some point. And, there's always that worry that this weekend might be the weekend for them where it all clicks. And if it does, in the Premier League, that can happen sometimes. Maybe Villa come this weekend, find their feet, get an early goal, and find their mojo and end up winning the game. And if that happens, you have to hold your hands up and go, do you know what? They've got a squad of amazing players, and that's just the way it is. So that's the one concern for me. But we are defensively solid. We've got that Sunderland crowd behind us. We've got a lot of factors in our favour. A lot of the neutrals seem to be fancying Sunderland this weekend. And yeah, I think we've got a chance. We've got a real good chance, because at the start of the season I looked at this fixture and I thought Villa at home is going to be really, really hard. And now it feels winnable, which is obviously very good. And if we were to win it, it would set us up lovely heading into 2 tricky-looking away games against Nottingham Forest and Manchester United. So my prediction is that Sunderland win the game 1-0. Very, very tight, potentially maybe even a late goal. But I think that this game is going to be almost a chess match, a tactical battle between Unai Emery and Reggie Slibbery. Both, fighting hard and finding an edge. And I think it's going to be fascinating to watch. So let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know your predicted 11, your scores. Love to interact with you in there. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this content as well. And we'll see you soon for hopefully a very, very joyful match review on Sunday. So we'll see you then. Thanks for watching.